It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
To our Daily Gun Show. We'll be live every day at a different time, I guess. But gotta get a new intro to the show. Oh, we got Krabby Turtle out there. Welcome. Ian Foss, welcome to the show. Daytime visit, unapologetically armed out there. All right, so a bunch of people joining Kingpin and DJ the show. We got a little dog here as a co-host. And on Wednesdays of our show, we take a look at Instagram and try to bring the stuff from Instagram, the people, the messages, and the information over to the rest of the platforms. We're doing this live on YouTube, but we'll post this on lots of different platforms, and it'll become a podcast. So our goal is to kind of mix things up, let people be aware of some other people out there, and offer some insight and some editorial along the way. Editorial from someone who isn't sponsored or paid for by anybody in the industry. Thanks to our Patreons. Puppy is always looking down at the people that make it possible for us to spend time on projects like this. It's a scroll going at the bottom of the screen here. Puppy's constantly checking on that because he likes those Patreons. They help keep these biscuits in his belly. So people that subscribe to our projects, most of them are about $5 a month. It's like buying little puppy a cup of coffee each month, buying them one bag of treats each month. Some people take us out to eat. They give us $25 a month, something like that. And we appreciate that. It accumulates. It allows us to pay for 3 servers that would keep everything on, as well as some software and our time. So it also lets me talk about what I feel like as an old guy who's been a gun owner my whole life, paying attention to this nonsense. And I can call it like I see it. And I really do appreciate that. Not everybody gets to do that. Really, not everybody gets to do that, so I appreciate it. All right, so we do this live on YouTube because 1, it's easy. 2, I use StreamYard. I guess I should actually put a logo up here once in a while. I use StreamYard, and I mean, I guess technically we could get $25 if you use it. Or wait, we get $5? I don't know. We get some kind of cut if you use our link, but I don't have a link. You can go check Gizzard's video descriptions. He's got a link, and he gets a cut. He pays more attention to StreamYard than a lot of us. But it's a software that lets us stream. It lets us poke things up on the screen like Voss's message right there that the puppy's looking at. And for that service, we appreciate this live because it lets us interact. So again, Kingpin is out there, DJ's out there. Voss, who hosts a show each overnight on Saturday nights, occasionally on the Wednesday evening. Thanks for joining us in the daytime show. Krabby Turtle out there again, unapologetically armed, an actual Second Amendment activist joining us. Thank you. Mike White, another activist out there joining us. Thank you. Artac, welcome. Who am I missing? Nobody. Everybody's out there. Sorry, I think I got everybody. If the only way we know you're out there is if you say something. Puppy's job is to pay attention, but you can see he sleeps a lot. Just sits here looking at the Patreon scroll. Anyway, we're going to be taking a look at Instagram. Let's bring that up on the screen here. And what I do is, as I go through Instagram throughout the week, I pulled up the wrong screen. Hold on. As I go through Instagram throughout the week, I favorite things, right? Essentially favorite things. And those things, there we go, get put into a special folder. And that folder is what we're going to be taking a look at. So I go to my channel. And I go to my saved stuff. And we go to this folder here. Look at all these dog pictures. And then we zoom in on it. And we go back about a week and we start chatting about these pictures. This week we had a couple of things go on. So I don't really, there's plenty of people who are going to tell you about the headlines. There's plenty of people who are going to get y'all worried about skies falling and that kind of stuff. My goal is to look through that stuff and to check out, I don't know, stuff that's interesting, stuff that you may have missed, and stuff that really matters. We did the bark last week, I'm pretty sure. This is just an interesting quick video showing how you can use TikTok or one of these vertical short explainer videos. Well, I guess the vertical short video format to make an explainer type video. So it's not just all fluff and nothing. These are pretty interesting, fast ways to get information across. Stuff like this, how often are you going to need this? Hopefully never, probably not very often, if ever. But it's interesting to know. And would you rather sit through a half-an-hour class on this or watch a 1-minute video? I really value these things. I think they're really neat. Of course, I'm not going to sit around watching them all day or nothing, but if you're sitting in the waiting room waiting for some appointment or something, you got nothing else to do, and these are great for passing the time, and they're interesting. Moving on, Unapologetically Armed is joining us today, and she had somebody messing with her. I guess that's an indication of success. This was a picture. These are more than a week old. How far back are we? I got 2 hours today. I made this show 2 hours before Rapid Fire Radio starts up. Oh, wow, I'm way back farther than a week. All right, so we'll move up. I think we did talk about Bass Reeves. We could talk about Brooke. Start there, November 7th. Close enough. So on the Tuesday election day, Brooke was out helping to get information out to people. Or lots of people, I think, depend on this to get some. They understand that other people are of the same opinion and paying attention, so they depend on these summaries and these last-minute awareness projects or awareness events, rallies, whatever you want to call them, on election day, to kind of focus in and to verify before they head into the polling booth. So there's a lot of value there. Should not go unknown, even though I don't know how many of the news of the day people are paying attention to this, but the guy, we haven't had a director of the ATF in a very long time through multiple presidential, entire presidential, terms in office, many, many years. And now we do have to waste so accomplished if the other were control because a gun killed. And it's all about nothing to distract all deaths and the tobacco deaths that they pay no attention when they challenge the very few fire health crisis, distract the political entity. It's an enforced, rather it's a branch that's for harassment, enforcement. So instead of challenging the entire existence of the brand, what is it, ATF Bureau, instead we went ahead and allowed them to, well, the representatives went ahead and allowed them to appoint a director. In that appointment process, he refused, people say he refused to define an assault rifle. In nomination process, everyone accepted that and they nominated him in spite of that. And now we're dealing with a person who refused to define one before, who suggested that he wasn't there to create policy, he was there to enforce law, is now suggesting to lawyers at Harvard at a Q&A with the government representative, head of a bureau, head of a bureau, that whatever he said, something about assault rifle bans or some shit. So the details of it we shouldn't get excited about, but we should be aware. We knew this was coming. Let's challenge the bureaucracy or the department itself. And it says tons about that. This is SHOT Show. This is because they're running Formula One at SHOT Show. So for all of us that have been there and everybody that's paying attention to, well, every once in a while people show you what the front of it looks like. This is what the front of it looks like. This used to be the main doors of SHOT Show. Behind, like the strip is over here to the right, and that big giant new battles or Thunderdome that they built to the left of here is to the left of here. So this is, they rebuilt most of the streets in Vegas to do Formula One racing. At least that's the cover story. But now they did this so that I can drive my van around at full speed. They're going to also set up this in Vegas, get around quicker at SHOT Show. There's that giant ball. They got a spider on it. And this is showing how they set up the racetrack on all the streets in Vegas. So they're going to be racing right in front of where SHOT Show is. This is more pictures of how I guess you can drive around the racetrack. I've been to a situation like this in California one time when I was hanging out with Mr. Knives. They set up some kind of racetrack for us so that I could race the van around that time too. Yeah, it's a pro tip. If you go in there, it's a lot faster if you drive on the racetrack than if you drive on the streets. Just FYI. Just pop a wheelie and jump over that fence and then drive the racetrack. There's nobody even on the racetrack. You can go way faster. Okay, so that SHOT Show, it's probably interesting for like 6 people out there. I thought it was pretty interesting. This is, what is this? Oh, this is KD and John Willis talking. I think we did talk about this one last week. Then we've got some lady who is against guns getting a DUI. I don't know. I guess we should do that or worry about that. This guy has these contact lenses in China, and when you look through those lenses, right, when you put them up to a camera, then here's what you get. Now you can see what the numbers are and stuff on all these, I don't know what those are, dominoes or some shit, and some cards. Professor Yamane got his book done. He was posting about that. I think we're right up to about a week ago at this point. I forgot what the last posts were. I think it was roll call 219, petting this deer. This deer was sleeping, and he came up and was petting it, got some selfies with it. And then later on, he helped it take its coat off. Sorry, there's gore in this version of the show. Oh, more gore. Look at this guy. This is what roll call 219 wishes he could do. We showed this last week, but it's impressive. It's worth showing. Skill is the basics done often enough to make it look essentially easy, like it takes no skill. So anybody that anything similar, most everybody listening to this has done something like this to a chicken at Lake Desert, but has done something like this to a chicken before. So you must appreciate that this doesn't just happen. Let's see. This is another one. Sorry, Gizzard. But this guy, pretty sure he jumps off the back of that scooter, holds that one chicken. The other chicken comes running over to see what's happening, and then he runs off with both the chickens. So that's one way you can use a chicken to steal another chicken, I guess. Oh, look at this guy. So NRA is complaining about this guy also. Notice they didn't have to look up his nose or into his eyeballs or anything. This one's pretty good. So Pets for Vets is an organization that hooks up veterans with critters. And speaking of that, I didn't realize that I had the the view here all messed up. So now I put the puppy down in the corner where he belongs. And then the video is a little bit bigger. Anyway, so this one says low energy, depressed. You can try B12, but we've had a lot of luck with K9. And she's about to give him a little puppy. Pretty good. They also get your stress levels up, which is probably good once in a while. All right, next is SHOT Show saying that 75 days until SHOT Show. That's like, oh wow, that's just around the corner. Except there's only 365 days in a year, so really kind of like 1/5 of the way around the clock from it, or back to it, or whatever. But it is on its way. We're 2 months out, 2.5 months out, 2 months out, whatever it is. Let's see. Then we've got, okay, so it says 75 days. Sorry, I just noticed that I got a bunch of leaves or some shit in my pocket, and it's super frustrating, or super annoying. I didn't know I had them in there. There are 75 days until 2024 SHOT Show. 2024, it's going to get weird saying that pretty quick. 2024. I liked 2022. That was easy to say. I got used to saying 23, but 2024 seems awkward again. SHOT is your shot to learn better business practices, network with industry leaders, get hands on new products, explore brands, and find new opportunities for your customers and your business. Well, I say it's saying it is your SHOT Show too. I thought it was asking that question. All right, I'm bad at reading. It is important for attendees to book hotel rooms sooner than later to get better room rates and to get a room in a preferred location. Hotels like the Flamingo, the Harrah's, and the Link are great options to consider. Well, Flamingo's pretty freaking old. Harrah's, I don't even know if I've been inside of Harrah's. I've been in the restaurants and stuff. I don't think I've ever been in a room of Harrah's. Links, man, I don't know. I've heard good and bad about Links, because we used to stay in the thing that was called the Link, or what it was called before the Links, and it was not good, but they tore all that down. So anyway, there's other options for sure. That's what SHOT Show is telling you to do, or that's what an SSF is recommending, though. Let's go through and look at some of these comments. 76 days until tired feet. Countdown. Can't wait. Oh, I guess there's not that many comments. All right, I just noticed since I've been sitting here talking this long, you ever bit the back of your tongue? Somehow I can think the way behind my tongue. Doesn't. I've noticed. Smack me. ATF is wide institutional, and I thought this was interesting because, well, I don't think there's any music or anything. I think this one's interesting because they're just telling people. They're not trying to do nothing. They're just informing people. There's no connotation here. There's no like hype. Oh, that's why it's a video, because they have made it a GIF essentially, but there's no audio. So, yeah, there's nothing. There's a little bit of branding, and then it's just letting people know. I mean, how cool would it be if our organizations just did that? I would say just did their job. But remember, they're different. They let their state, local level organizations exist. They all join the national, but the national doesn't tell them, the locals, what to do. So in this case, it's not even like it's, the NRA is, hey, let's make all the marketing and let's just let everybody use our marketing. In this case, it's just like, hey, just letting you know. At least that's the way I'm reading this. Uh-oh, we're losing audio. Oh, it could be my internet. See, I get this little, here's what it looks like when I'm on my display over here. I get this little thing here that tells me my connection is unstable. I'm not blaming Gizzard, even though I'm using his modem, because my internet was bad before that. But I'm just saying I'm using Gizzard's modem and my internet's still bad. But I have really bad internet. I just plow through. Hopefully StreamYard is recording it all, because again, this is kind of, there's 10 people or something watching this as a live, and there'll be 10,000 people listening to a podcast, I think, somewhere around that. It's hard to know. 10 or 11,000 people listening to it, maybe 15,000 people listening to it. It's hard to know. Maybe less. It's hard to know. Yellow Mart is a gun shop that I've been following for a while, and it says they're hiring. So I don't know if you live anywhere near Indio, I'm guessing. I'm not sure if I don't think wait a minute. No, I don't think I've been to this store. I've been to a couple of stores that look like this on the front, but I don't think I went to this store. I think I just found them somehow on Instagram and started following them. I like following gun shops. It's interesting to watch what they do and how they're doing it. Let's see. This is from Ed's manifesto. It's got a quote from Albert Einstein written on a whiteboard. Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. I really like that one. Pretty neat. Going on. NSSF is saying President Biden is again telling his donor class. What do you think of that? Is that a new thing, or is that something I just didn't hear before? His donor class, that he's committed to violating his oath of office and will continue to seek to ban AR-15s or MSRs. It is not the first time, but he continues to show his ignorance of firearms in general and contempt for the rights protected by the U.S. Constitution, which he swore to uphold and defend. President Biden spoke to the Human Rights Campaign national dinner and said, "Who in God's name needs a weapon with 100 rounds in the chamber? That weapon's only meant for one thing, to kill people." He added that he was in the U.S. Senate when the federal government banned the sales of MSRs from 1994 to 2004, a law that was signed by Clinton and expired under Bush. He says if he gets his way, he'd do it all over again. As long as I'm in office, okay, what am I reading this for? From his remarks, it seems he mistakenly believes there are, okay, so they attack his correctness. The shockingly uninformed statement wasn't the most ignorant statement of the day. He transitioned to speak of horrors Israelis suffered during the attacks, failing to connect the fact that the citizens live under a type of gun control he wants for the United States that left them unable to defend themselves from attacks. Right. I guess, well, what the fuck? So they're gonna, again, it's my rights, my property, I'm scared. So it's not unable to defend themselves, you idiots. Come on, man. Like, how often are we gonna use this failing logic slash tactic? It failed to keep them from being a target. So this is suggesting that it's inevitable that you're going to get attacked, which sets the other side of the other people up to think that you're attacking the situation when you should be removing yourself from the situation, and talk about how I believe you should be removing ourselves from the situation and talking about the situation that's actually happening that everyone's got emotion about, and talk about how guns potentially would have deterred the situation in the first place. Not that the situation was inevitable and that guns would have meant a successful gunfight, because that's ridiculous. In one side of our mouth, we say, as a community and as all trainers say, we're not looking for a gunfight. And then in the exact same paragraph, they'll say, but if you're in a gunfight, you want a big gun. Well, that's a dumbass way to talk to somebody who's scared of gunfights and doesn't want gunfights. So you say, oh, you don't want gunfights and you're scared of gunfights? Guess what stopped us from having a nuclear war? Mutually assured destruction. Both people having a lethal means to defend themselves. So if you want lethal situations happening, create a victim class. Make sure that one person can't defend themselves. The people who are law-abiding, make sure they cannot defend themselves, and you will have lethal consequences. When you allow those who are lawful to defend themselves lethally, then there are no more fights, because bad people don't start fights when they know they're going to die. So we have this dumbass idea that we have big enough guns, then we can win the gun battle. No, we have big enough guns. There are no more gun battles. Gun battles are deterred. When are we going to get past this and think about it that way? We're talking to people who are scared of gun battles, who don't want gun battles. we act like we don't want gun battles, but then we talk about how we're going to win gun battles. We need to get consistent. So that's the first bullshit in here. And then the next bullshit is calling them MSRs. It's the same as being a scare to open carry. So are we going to call them AR-15s, or are we scared to call them AR-15s? So did Bloomberg win the whole AR-15 thing? I thought we're the side of accuracy. We're the side of we want to say the correct thing. Well, quit making up fucking words that don't need to exist. These are just attempts to swim around the attacks of their side trying to change the narrative. No, it holds true. We have truth on our side. We don't need to make up new words and cower behind these new words. So, yeah. Getting mad at him complaining about this, yeah, just tell him he's an idiot. Like, say, hey, are you capable anymore? Because what you're saying is not technically accurate. That's all we need to say. Challenge him on his awareness of accuracy. Like, if you can't define what you're talking about, then quit talking about it. What they ignored here in 94 was that not one of them was in office again in 95. They all got voted out of office. There was consequences to the assault weapons ban. I'm talking about it as if it expired and that's a victory. That's not the victory. The victory was that they all were taken out of office in 1995 and they didn't come back after guns again until 2013. We had almost two full decades of them leaving us the fuck alone about guns because we took them out of office. Every single one of them that went after guns. They're not as scared of that anymore. Why don't we remind them of that? We don't need term limits. We need people who vote consistently. All right, next up, and we'll quit bitching about an NSSF post. I like NSSF quite a bit, but I'm not paid by them. And thanks to our Patreons, I don't have to hold punches when they're posting lame stuff. Okay, so Dong Guns is one of the gun shops I have visited. Really, really, really cool gun shop. So if I had to count all the gun shops I visited, 300 of them or something, they're probably in the top 20 for sure, maybe top 10. They're a really cool gun shop, and they're in Tulsa, if you haven't been. They're painted like a zebra. The whole building's painted like a zebra. And it's just a good gun shop. Anyway, inside it says, it's 6:55, do you know where your AR-15 is? And then it says, it's here at Dong's. Come on in, it's waiting for you. So I think that one's a good one on a couple of levels. So I won't explain it. If you're old enough to remember, you're old enough to remember. If you're not, then it doesn't make any sense to you. So what is this called? Crystal Knocked. So Night of Broken Glass, November 9th through 10th. I'm sure not that many people talked about it, but if we forget history, then other people get to make history up and act like they are talking about history. So this is Tactical Medic. People we post every once in a while, but a lot of people don't remember that Tactical Medic and what's his face were Cav Arms back in the day. So Tactical Medic is the guy that owned Cav Arms, and this is just a picture from them farting around back in their place back in the day. Rocky Mountain gun owners, a complete list of effective gun control laws. And then it's got a blank piece of paper there. Let's see. I think this is going to copyright me. So I'm going to do that again because it's pretty subtle. So I'll just pause it there. I don't know where they got that. I'm assuming she didn't pose for that, but maybe she did. I have no idea. I don't keep up with Sade. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Direction. First off, whatever direction of movement that you're going down, let's say we're going this way, I'm going towards you. This is my 12 o'clock. Behind me is the 6 o'clock. Obviously 3, 9. And we use that clock method for our directions. What do you got? What do you got? Hey, 9 o'clock. It's pretty easy. All right, so that's depending on the environment. It can be more.
I won't play the whole thing, but essentially, people act like they're prepared for stuff. Do you and your friends effectively communicate direction, distance, and the rest when you're describing stuff to each other? I don't know if everybody has an opportunity to go hunting together, but when you're hunting together, I guess you could do this playing paintball or airsoft or something, but go out as a team, as a group together and do something. Like dove hunting is really good for this, or quail hunting or something where you're walking around, and as a group. You don't want to shoot each other for sure, but you also want to make sure that, if you've got dogs or if you've got something else going on, you're aware of that, or if somebody's got something to do later on in the day, nobody's losing track of time. And then you're also just being effective and finding, walking through all the areas. If not familiar to hunt most birds, you just have to walk around and then you stir the birds up, they fly and you shoot at them. So unless you got dogs to run around, you're out there walking to get the birds to run around, just scare up or whatever it's called. So effectively, you're gonna, if you're out of eyesight, if you're walking through higher trees or bushes or something where you don't see each other, you're gonna figure out ways to communicate. And if you haven't done that as a kid or as a young person or something, you don't have that in your skill set as a group, think about that. When you need to, isn't the first time you want to have to figure out that your friend's an idiot and he says everything is to his left or something. That some people just aren't good at spatial stuff, and it's nothing that can't be overcome, but you need to be aware of it. So I guess the point of saving this one was just to think outside the box a little bit and think about when you're working with your friends that you're working once in a while. You're not always just slapping ass and worrying about or playing around and not paying attention. Use your time together effectively once in a while. Not maybe every time, but once in a while. And you should be able to give your friends a nod and kind of go, hey, and be like, look, let's be on point for a minute here. Let's figure something out and then get back to farting around. Let's see, the Stop the Bleed. So Cody Firearms experience. I always like to mention that the only place that's worth going to in Cody, as far as a museum, is the Dug Up Gun Museum, the tiny little one that's free on the second floor of a store. The big ass one that's there sucks. So the other thing that's worth going to Cody for is the Cody Firearms experience. And they've got a lot of stuff going on. There's the East Gate of Yellowstone, millions of people going through there each year. One of the first things they see on the way out, or if they're going in, the last thing they see is a giant sign that says shoot guns. And then there's the range and shop and a little bit of a museum there. And in this case, you can also sign up for a Stop the Bleed class. So I'm not a big fan of Stop the Bleed, but it is free. It only takes like an hour or something. So they have a free one on November 8th. Did that already happen? And then, well, I guess that one already happened, but then there'll be another one on December 2nd. So that's pretty cool. So if you happen to be in the area, well, not that many people are probably in Cody right now, but if you happen to be, consider stopping by, supporting the store. It's one of the best places to go in Cody, Wyoming. Next up is shooting parasport. Let's see, this is saying that, are you ready for Santiago? The biggest parasport event in the Americas region will put together almost 2,000 athletes. This will happen in something on the 18th and 21st of November. So that hasn't quite happened yet. But yeah, there's lots of shooting going on. Shooting brings people together from all different types of ability, all different types of everything. Just divide everybody up however you want to, and shooting brings them together. So anybody that wants to act like shooting is violence only, come on, pay attention to what's all happening around the world. Shooting is a massive sport, bigger than some of the sports that use balls. And people are ignoring the shit out of that. We can ignore it as well. It's easy. You don't have to do nothing to ignore it. Or pay attention to some of it. We don't have anything. All we have is Battle Bunny 3 gun. Name something else for the differently abled. Oh, wait. Everybody's differently abled. You get broke, you get sore, you get different, you get old. Right? You are little. Like, everybody's differently abled at times. Like, nobody's abled. There's just, generally what's normally abled, and then everybody's some version of that. We're doing ourselves a disservice by not incorporating way more of this kind of stuff into our paradigm, into our communities, into our culture. All right, next lecture's over. Next up is Maj saying, let's see, so many Americans serve, so much more work to do, so much joy and freedom, thank you. Then he's saying there's 100 donors away from our halfway point, travel around the country. posting this, we do the shows on Tuesdays to let people know about, or just offer some coaching and some inspiration and some awareness about content creation. There's not too many doing it more successfully than Maj. So you can look at people and go, look at their level of success and like go, it must be luck or skill or, whatever. Or you can, literally, especially on the internet, you can literally watch people's path to their current place and see how they've done it. And yeah, there's certainly people that are lifted up and set into position. It's blatantly obvious. There's definitely people that accidentally fall up a hill. That happens once in a while, especially in 2023. And then there's people that work fucking hard. And there's people that work hard and document their journey. Talk about that. Like, look at Chris. He does a pretty good job. He just jumped in. Does a good job of letting people know, appreciating his accomplishments along the way, and sharing what he's doing. A lot of people out there are doing that. But Maj is not necessarily doing that. He probably would if you asked him, but he doesn't necessarily make a big point of showing off how he's doing it, but he's not hiding how he's doing it. So if you want to see how success is accomplished, check out some of the people that are successful. And Maj, like I say, is one of the more successful ones out there. This message, the way that he presented it, and the timing and everything, just probably this shy of epic. She was more like a beauty. Copyrighted again. This is from Wheelchairs for Warriors. They make these action tracks. Well, they don't make them. They help provide action tracks for people, for veterans. And this is what that accomplishes. It'd be nice if I could play the music, but I can't. And I can't get that full screen, but that would have been a good one for full screen. Let's see. Soldier System says, let's see. IG, keeping it classy. Imagine if they had actual humans running the place instead of humorless AI that just discovered my bio after years. Well, it's either that or one of my thousands of new followers with no sense of humor that complains a lot. So, Soldier Systems is a pretty cool dude. He's been doing this for way longer than me. One of the reasons I started doing stuff online. And they have a pretty decent, we post their stuff on Instagram we repost their stuff on Instagram quite a bit. And it just says that he's basically just noting that they finally caught up, I guess because it says LSD in his bio, but it finally got mad at him for his bio, I guess. These I kind of showed off during a couple other shows. Is there music? Yeah, music. So essentially what we're looking at is a post from Ed's Manifesto. There's two of these. This first one is the cumulative deaths of active duty U.S. troops since 1980. And what they're comparing is, on the red line is suicide, and on the blue line is death from military service in other ways, like through military action, like getting shot in a battle. And as you can see, starting in 1980, we weren't really involved in too many things, so it was just minor interactions or infarctions here and there. And mostly just small observers and trainers that would get injured, or people hurt in training. And then, of course, with the global war on terror that lasted for quite a while, we see a massive spike, a massive rise in the number of actual deaths from battle. That blue line, which is again essentially zero. Especially with the dwindling size of the military during the Cold War, or at the end of the Cold War. And then, again, just training accidents and a few minor things that were happening occasionally. And then you see the spike from the Global War on Terror. But look at that red line. It's just essentially an exponential. No, it's not exponential. It's essentially a logarithmic. Is that the right way to describe that line? I want to describe that line. But it's a consistent line for sure, and it has to do with the frustrations. And I've been listening to a lot of military podcasts, and it's often a topic because those who commit suicide leave people behind, and those people are, of course, aware and affected by their decisions. So again, hopefully this graphic is useful in understanding the situation, because again, as gun owners, gun deaths are used to suggest there's a health epidemic with firearms. Gun deaths include suicides, not gun violence, gun deaths. There's, on the high side, 40,000 gun deaths in a year. 30,000 of those are suicide. And this gives you an indication of how many of those suicides are military. We have a toxic environment in the military, and it's not the military that turns people toxic. It's the idea that the military is going to save you, or the military is going to change your life, or the military is going to provide some kind of stability for someone. There's no magic, and it could be in the marketing, but it could also just be in the way society has other few options. So we'd be better off with a military that doesn't suggest, to offer unrealistic expectations, and having a healthcare system that can anticipate and provide for people that have unrealistic expectations, and whatever the reasons are that people do what they do. If we can understand some of those and prevent them, so much more effective at saving lives, period. And of course, keeping the people who dance on these graves and they're desperate to use these numbers. They're desperate to keep this information from being widespread, because they need to suggest that the 40,000 deaths, including all those suicides, are the reason that we should ignore the 107,000 deaths from fentanyl, just the overdoses from fentanyl, the 500,000 from tobacco, and the 100,000 something, 200,000 from alcohol. All right, we'll move on. The next one is another one from SSD. And this is something like the Far Side, I guess. The nuclear war's happening above, and they're in their bomb shelter, and this guy's getting ragged on for not bringing a can opener down into the bomb shelter. Typical. Does anybody remember the Far Side? I'm sure some people remember it. I should say, does any of the youngins know about the Far Side? Do they know what these are alluding back to? I don't think that's really the Far Side, right? Can I put the music on this one? Nope. So this is Kilo Niner. This is a place that hooked a little dude up with his sweatshirt. He's got this sweatshirt right here, this little Boston's wearing. But I kind of feel like he needs to get these glasses. So they've got these Eye Defender glasses now that they make for puppies. I don't know. I would probably go with the ones that this guy's got on, but I kind of like both of them. So Woods is against dogs wearing glasses, I think. He's against it. PJ is saying Gary Larson is one of his favorite cartoonists. Deanne Foss is saying he remembers. Let's see. So, let's see. Never done that sort of thing outside hunting, but most of it would transfer easily to other situations. Well, but that's the thing. If you don't do it once in a while, especially with people that have never been hunting with you, you know what I mean? They're not going to know, like, over there, or, they're not going to know what that means. And that's the thing. You shouldn't say over there. We should be saying, like, well, you're in the mode of being on alert or whatever. You should be saying 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or your 6 or my 6 or whatever. But all right, well, so thanks for everybody for chatting. I'm not going to keep trying to read it, but I keep asking questions, and then you guys are answering, so I get it. But let's see. So this next one is from a channel called Aesthetic Gun Ads, which is a pretty cool channel. They just post old ads like this. I don't know how old this one is, probably from the 90s or something. I don't know, maybe early 2000s even. But it says, strength and design separate an ordinary 357 from the Ruger GP100. So, I don't know. What do you think? This is kind of interesting, though. So, if anybody hasn't ever paid attention or looked at this, a Smith, or should say, most revolvers have kind of a shell frame. They have an outside frame. The outside part that you see is the frame, and then the inside is hollow. There's like nothing going on the inside. Now, how they accomplish that is kind of different with each one. But essentially, they're all they all start with a thing that they mill out. They channel out a bunch of channels, and then they put a plate on top of that. Well, Ruger does it different. They take a big chunk of steel and they just cut a slot down the middle and put some holes into the slot. And then they suggest that that is a full frame and that theirs is so much stronger. So, and it kind of just depends on whether you like to be able to go in and look at your parts and change them out, or if you like to kind of fish them into a slot or whatever you're doing. Otherwise, is that all they're talking about? I think, and then they talk about how much more top strap they have on top. And I mean, I get it. And if you're going to fall on your gun or do push-ups on it or something, I totally get it. But I think Ruger's also stretching a little bit, because it's not like Smith & Wessons are falling apart. The Smith & Wesson style of building, which I don't know if that's original or not. I don't know about guns. It might be Colt style of building, actually. Whoever came up with that style of frame, and everybody's been doing it that way. Everybody's been doing it that way. So since everyone's done it that way, yeah, you can get some that fall apart, but that doesn't mean that the design's bad. It just means some people didn't do it well, at least in my opinion. So anyway, I thought that was a pretty neat ad. This one, it says, this again, Ruger. See, Ruger ads just don't, I know they're trying to shoot at a target, but they're just not hitting it for me. So this was Smith & Wesson's response to Ruger's. And they just stuck Ruger's grips on this big, goofy-looking hamburger and said thicker's better when it comes to burgers and shakes. But, gross. We'll keep going. So this Gerald Todd saying today, that was, or let's see, it says, this is an excerpt from her speech at the 2019 rally. Oh, I should probably post this on November 2nd. So the anniversary of the rally. She's saying that was a good day, helping to organize the rally on the lawn of the U.S. Capitol building and speaking to fellow Americans about what leadership looks and sounds like, and all of that, and all on what would turn out to be my dad's last birthday. I didn't know it. A few of my comments were, quote, "Let yesterday be the last day we allow our representatives to feign ignorance of the will of the people. Let tomorrow be the first day that we begin to teach our children and our children's children the lessons of world history. Let today be the day patriots from sea to shining sea become involved in the political process at local, state, and federal levels, and make the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Second Amendment the focal point of our work. When we do this, my brothers and sisters in freedom, united and together, we the people will create a future that honors and sacrifices many, by so many that will once again allow our common bond to be liberty." Well said. So that was from her speech at the Capitol. Oops. Then it was the Marine Corps birthday. So it's kind of funny watching Marines post to each other, and then other people post to them. Not funny, it's just interesting to watch that develop over the years. Some years people give a shit about the Marines, other years people all act like all they care about is the Marines. Sort of his wheelchairs, saying Marines, even though some of the Marines are so hard to wheelchair. Two of them have been in the country that else and our rehab seating specialists, and delivering to a few American badges. They've been in the scenes, in the air, getting the job, important the mission. This is an organization that provided those action trackers, wheelchairs with the tracks and wheels, so you can take them anywhere, essentially. And since everybody's a little bit different, they build special pads and seats for everybody, imagine, or at least people that that would be of service to. So they send people who know how to do that around to make it happen. Then it says it's got a bunch of girl Marines on here, and it says some girls would break your heart. A few were put out and put it in your pocket, and then yell at you for having your hand in pockets. I thought that was pretty funny. We get yelled at a little bit for having hands in your pockets, but I don't think Marines are allowed to even put their hands in their pockets. So this was the second one from Ed's manifesto, and this one is veterans versus non-veterans in U.S. adults and the suicide rate from 2001. So this is a little bit different time frame. The red line on the top is the veteran, and the blue line at the bottom is the non-veteran. So this is the suicide rate in the United States amongst adults, and right around the beginning of the global war on terror, again, there's this massive spike, and this time it's in the number of veteran suicides, and there is a growth in the amount of suicides. I don't know. I guess once you're a veteran, you're a veteran. So it's not like they're going to count people who've retired or anything. You're always a veteran. So these are people that have never served, I suppose, or they're, well, I guess yeah, that's the way it's at. And then I don't know when this goes. It goes to pretty much now. So, it would have been interesting to see that finish out with the whole chaos of the last couple of years. I'm sure the blue line went nuts. But, again, I don't even know how to interpret this one. You'd have to spend some time probably paying attention to this to put some events and make some sense out of it. But the scale, I think, pretty obvious or evident from it. And on the left, those are number of suicides per 100,000. So it's not the rate, it's the rate of suicides per 100,000. It's not the number of suicides. And the numbers for the non-veterans go from about 14 to 18. And the veterans go from about 16 up to like 29 and then back down a little bit. But yeah, dramatic. So again, people want to blame military for this, but that's like blaming food for the actions of the person who puts the food in their mouth. I mean, they're both parts of it. You can't be a veteran without being in the military, but not everybody's a veteran. There has to be something that makes us want to join. And if that's the thing that also has this other, there's other variables to it, then there's things that can be done. Like if science does exist, then there are ways to interpret data. And I seriously doubt anyone's going to suggest with any kind of reality that it's firearms. Like somehow, bing, the answer to this is firearms. And I hope this shows how ridiculous that assertion could be, right? That is the idea. I don't know who this guy is. Some old guy with a beard. Liberty means responsibility. That is why most dread it. I don't know. It sounds good. Like, oh, I'm so good. I'm willing to be responsible. Everybody else ain't. I get sick of these quotes a little bit, but it is a good quote. But you're not better than everybody just because you're willing to be responsible. You can just be responsible and shut up about it. Women in Arms is posting this. Somebody made a bike. I guess girls are allowed to ride bikes now. So it's all in teal with some sort of, it's not really multicam, but it's okay. It's something that looks kind of like multicam. And it's got different kind of blues and mostly teal. I don't know. Is this one of them 3-speed bikes? I don't really know. It might be it's electric. I don't know. But it's also got teal white walls. Pretty neat. And there's no comments at all. So I have no idea what the deal is. Somebody built it. And then, I guess they didn't build it. It says Huffy on it. So they painted it. They created the look. Maybe they just gave it to I can't think of her name. Carrie Ann, and maybe they just gave it to Renee. Thank you, Renee. And she's just showing off her bike. But anyway, it's pretty cool. Maybe she had it made. Maybe she just decided to have it made by some bike maker. That's possible too. She didn't write any comments, so we'll just assume it was given to her by some friend of the Women for Gun Rights organization. So now we got Carrie Ann and John and some other guy. And it says the goal visited Rifle and Pistol Club. The VP vice president presented them with a $500 donation from the club. Wow, $500. I'm kind of embarrassed about that. Maybe $5,000 next time. Come on, a bunch of people in that club and they got $500. Whatever. I guess it's better than nothing. Here's pretty neat. This is, has anybody ever seen induction heating? I think that's what this is, of nuts in this case. Essentially, you could heat up a bolt or a nail or something and jam it through there, a railroad spike. But it's essentially a giant battery. This guy's made a portable version though, super cool. So he's got like some kind of batteries in that PVC tube. He's got that induction thing at the end there, and it just sends a bunch of electricity. It just sends a bunch of electrons through there, I think, and heats up that nut to red hot. Now in this case, it's just so that you can get that nut off of that bolt, but there's nothing stopping you from doing this on the bolt instead of the nut, and then just smashing that bolt into a knife or into a tool. So I've seen people blacksmith with these things. And this time he's got a different attachment on the end, and he's like literally touching it to a half of a nut. And I think he's saying how you could cut that or something now. But I don't know. I know a couple of people, I don't know if they listen to this anymore, a couple of people were into this tech, and it's neat, but I have never seen it portable before. Anyway, it has nothing to do with guns, so that was neat. Kalashnikov died at one time, he was born at one time. I didn't put the thing up this year, but he was born. So the gunsmith up in Las Vegas was posting happy birthday to Kalashnikov. I usually post that one each year. Shooting Parasport. Dang it. Everybody's copywriting me. Essentially, though, this girl right here just won. Or no, excuse me, she's about to win. Oh, no, she just won right there. I think they call out the score or something after. This is pretty neat. I don't think. Yeah, there's no. This guy, I think they just figured out how to do this, but he made these little blocks that go onto the handle like that. Now when you lift up the handle, it locks the thing, so there's no way for that to happen, even if it's open. Like even if they're unlocked, because of the handle now locks it. So I don't know who this place is. Instagram just recommended I see this for some reason, but that seems like a good example of the kind of thing you can do with a 3D printer. Of course, you got to come up with the idea or see the idea and make your own little part or go somewhere and get the little part. But that's just an example of the kind of little clever things that can be done. And hopefully the company sees that and goes, oh, duh, why don't we make the next model do this automatically so that this quits happening to people. But if you've ever had a bunch of screws and nuts and bolts fall apart like that, you know the misery. This isn't a plug, but it's a plug for Wilderness Tactical up in Phoenix, or Phoenix area, cool company. And they have this, their belt, but you see how that belt buckle is? It's got like a hook or whatever. So that's a piece of aluminum, T6 aluminum, 7075 T6 aluminum. And it's got like a open link, the way I say it. And that way you can just jam this open link into that loop there. And that's the belt loop, or that's the belt buckle. So that way you can adjust it over here on the other side of the belt buckle. You can adjust it on this side with some Velcro to what length you want, and then you just slide it through. I haven't worn it. I don't know if it'll work for me. I'm a fat dude. But it might work for skinny people, and it might work with fat people. I've never tried it, but it looks pretty interesting. It doesn't look like it's a big, obnoxious belt buckle like some things. It's Tony posting about the Marines' birthday. Like I say, Marines are always going to talk about their birthday. That's the EDC guy talking about Erica's Big Day. Says people are always curious and amazed when they see our Erica's Big Day book in person. We always look forward to showing what we've created, a book with a soft touch to help teach children as young as toddlers how to avoid unintended firearms. What if we told you this book was one of the keys to help solve gun violence issues in our urban communities? Would you give us? So essentially, if you haven't seen Erica's Big Day, it's a pretty cool book. It's essentially like Eddie the Eagle, except not from the 1980s. And it's just about Erica instead of Eddie. And offers kids a methodology of dealing with firearms that are either shown to them or they come across. And EDC guy is a great channel to watch. He has a great sample. He has like a great range of stuff that he follows and posts. It was Veterans Day. So here's the deal. Veterans Day is for people that are alive and were in the military at one point, right? Old people. Then there's what is it called? Armed Forces Day. That's when you say thanks to the people that are serving, like thank you for your service. That's who you say thank you for your service. They're the ones serving. Veterans did a long time ago, or like yesterday or something. But then there's Memorial Day, and that is when you post pictures of cemeteries. This Veterans Day, I only seen one place post a picture of a cemetery, but it's kind of a douche move. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Greenbright Foundation, there's all the tabs. There's a shit ton of tabs now. So then Second Amendment range, posting on Veterans Day. I thought this one was pretty good. One, because the quote is epic, but also they didn't throw a flag on the floor. They didn't write nothing on a flag, and they didn't offer any kind of like Veterans Day discount or sale or anything like that. But the quote from Reagan is, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it into our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them to do the same." So you don't give it to them. You teach them how to teach the next generation. Freedom and liberty. So freedom is our own individual ability to be free. Liberty is how we do that together. That's the way I look at it. And that, again, it doesn't get passed down through example. It doesn't get passed down accidentally or intentionally. Well, I guess intentionally. But it doesn't just happen. You have to make it happen. This is some jerk on Instagram who I follow who's always posting amazing shit, but I also never know what's going on unless I follow people like this. So this is I think it's is that saying it's a North Korean kit? Crazy. So collecting is fun and frustrating because stuff that's super rare, stuff that you just can't even get a hold of, stuff that doesn't exist can be plentiful moments later. And then wait 5 minutes and it's a different story altogether. And that's sort of, well, except for the barrels, which because of, federal level legislation, well, actually federal level bureaucracy, because it isn't even legislation. It was literally just ATF overreach that's halted or prevented the importation of barrels, their bullshit interpretation of a 1968 law. But in any case, except for the barrels, which is a fucking shame, just the fact that some rifles are getting here that would have never been able to get here before is fun. I mean, I haven't had the luxury or really the interest, but I haven't had the time, even if I was interested, to follow AK stuff over the years. But I do follow it. And I mean, from corner of my eye once in a while like this. And it's just amazing. It's an entire story. Somebody could write an entire story, not a bullshit coffee table book with a bunch of pictures of guns you'll never obtain. Somebody could do a massive anthology of all the stuff you could have owned or was possible to own in the United States. And then the story of where those guns came from would turn into an incredible project. That would be super neat. Maybe 5 years or 6 years from now, I'll think about doing something like that. But nobody ever talks about who owns the importers of these guns. And are these guns taken off the streets because of crime or because political bullshit going back and forth about who owned the companies that imported it? How pissed would you be if it turns out the reason we don't have importation of stuff from China is just because somebody wasn't getting a cut? It has nothing to do with rights or crime or violence or anything. It was just because somebody wasn't getting a cut. Anyhow, let's keep moving. So you got Supervel doing a thing on Veterans Day. Not one flag in sight. Just says thank you, veterans. It actually has a cartoon and their logo and says their name of their company. So right on. These are the people that invented the hollow point. I don't know the company, but they seem to be doing it right, in my opinion. Just doing their thing. Speaking about doing it right, so I don't know if Unapologetically Armed is still out there, but I think this is one of the coolest things ever. I guess she got this sweatshirt from a place called Davenport Guns. I guess we could take a look at that place. And so it's a gun shop in Davenport. Where's Davenport? Iowa or Illinois? There's probably a lot of Davenports. I guess I'll have to go look. Let's see. So anyway, I think it says never enough, and it's got a shoe, a gun, and a purse. And then Unapologetically Armed is doing a thing in our shoes and a purse or whatever. That logo, I think that it's like it's cool or whatever. Davenport, Iowa things, and but I think that one gets the point across. And it's not the my rights, my property. It's just like leave me alone. I'm allowed to, do what I want, and so are you, right? Like I think that one is awesome. So I don't know where that came from, but I think that's one of the most effective logos I've seen. Period. I'm saying just seen. Like Maj does some interesting stuff. I don't want to say it's great because it's all focused on being in your face. It's very like confrontational. Then there's others that's so obscure you don't know what it is. This one is awesome, and I'm so sick of my rights, my property, or my flag. Like, shut up. We know what country you're in. So this one is awesome. I really like this one. Unapologetically Arms said it was a gift from the owner at Arms in Iowa. She designed it. Yeah, all the props to that one. Hopefully it goes out everywhere. I went and looked at them. Tokes it's purple. You can't buy the sweatshirt on their website though, unfortunately. So at least I can't find it. I looked all around. They got services, they got training, they got memberships, but I didn't see it. Actually, it says shop. Oh, maybe I'll shut up because it says shop our online firearm store. Maybe I just didn't look into here. But ammunition, optics. Well, they got retro rifle stuff. But if you go to contact us, I'll look around and see if I can find it. I didn't find it before, but I thought it was on contact us. Where did I get it before? Oh, you know what? I'm probably on their thing. So I found their Instagram though, and they got a pretty awesome Instagram. I think we'll end up seeing some of their Instagram later, so I'll just keep going. But anyway, thanks again to Unapologetically Arms for finding, just for showing that off and letting me find another cool gun shop to follow. So then we got this one from Rolling Stone. So this is Firearms Policy Coalition posting and headline from Rolling Stone. Mass murder is a choice. The gun industry made it. Arms manufacturers pushed more than 24 million assault rifles onto the American streets, one for every 10 adults, each designed with a single purpose: to kill lots of people as fast as possible. By some Dickinson guy. So it's weird. So anyway, it says, we present to you smooth brain takes of the emotionally unstable. That's what gun policy wrote on there. The industry is increasingly pushing weaponry on civilians that rivals or even exceeds the firepower commonly entrusted to soldiers. This includes not only AR rifles, but also AR-style shotguns. So, and I guess get all mad or upset or laugh at how dumb they are, but these are, intentional, what's the word, like attempts to change the playing field, and they're doing it through Rolling Stone. So I don't think people are going to question it more. They're going to see that and move on. So getting mad about what they write, you're right. Is it effective? It's up to, I'm trying to say, is that effective?
Gun safety law in nearly 30 years, and then pass again the assault weapons ban, which Diane and I passed.
So then this says, check out another episode of our newest 60-second news breakdown. Then you get this guy.
in its chamber. These are the people who are making our gun laws. Someone needs to educate President Biden on the very thing he's making laws on. Not only did the assault weapons ban fail, but assault weapon is a made-up term. AR-style rifles are the most popular self-defense rifle in America. This is just another push by the anti-gunners to convince the American people that guns are the problem and they're trying to take our constitutional freedoms away. President Biden, tell the Israeli citizens who are...
I get the messaging with the little what's the word, where they cut out all the spaces. It's not even like somebody edits this. They put it into a software package that removes all the spaces, and you end up with this TikTok style, like, non-stop talking thing. Makes you sound smarter maybe, but it just makes it seem like somebody dumb edited it. But kids like it. It's the way you get messages across now. But so GOA's got a new person again, right? And they, oh, we're so cool because we're wearing 9-line apparel, right? And oh, we're so cool, we got our swag on. Okay, so they got a young kid now, and they're cutting it, and they've got the graphics so that they're retro into the 80s. That's cool, that's hip, that's trendy. But then it's the fucking my rights, my property. How come you got all this other insight? You're so aware of what the kids are doing these days. How about a new message? How about a different message than my rights, my property? Continue. Then we got Ed's manifesto with this cool thing where the dude is using a candlestick to burn his rope. Can't quite do that very much anymore because I don't think very many people tie people up with rope next to candlesticks. But I don't know. I just thought this was a cool picture for some reason. I think it's even on the thumbnail. Kind of reminds me of one of the old magazines. Now here, so I was just ragging on GOA.
We have to fully implement the most significant.
Complain about what Joe Biden said. Oh, it's almost as if Joe Biden says dumbass shit so that there's headlines for the other side to use. Oh, it's almost as if they're giving us exactly what they want us to play with. Anyway, there's GOA, right? I'm going to rag on them. It's millions of dollars a year to do that. Then there's Paige, who I'm pretty sure is doing this herself, or maybe with some funding from whatever this Turning Point USA is. I don't know how much money they're making. This says... I don't think this is a video. I think it's just a picture. It says, "Catch me live. Let's discuss why your generation hates guns." It's in November at Oklahoma State University. Oklahoma State University. Why your generation hates guns. November 30th, University of Las Vegas. So Oklahoma State, and then the next day she's in Vegas. This is your Turning Point USA University page for tickets. So I guess this is going out to people who are already in this Turning Point USA. I think it's a Republicans group or club or kids. And then it says Oklahoma State University and University of Las Vegas. I'm coming for you. I'll be sharing some eye-opening information on why the younger generation hates guns and what needs to change so this trend doesn't continue in the wrong direction. Anyone is welcome. The event is free. So boots on the ground, message that's on point to the youths. She's doing it, right? She's boots on the ground in different places and talking to kids who I'm guessing are interested in doing something. So it's not like going to a rock concert where kids are there for something else. They're going to this Turning Point thing because, I don't know, is it Republicans? But they are there to do political, they're there because they're politically interested, if not active. So giving kids who are our next generation calls to action is what's necessary. Giving old people bullshit sounding points or whatever they are is what makes money. Well, was what used to make money and what people are desperately clinging to. I hope Paige makes a fucking zillion dollars doing this somehow so that everybody follows her lead. If you watched her presentation at the AmCon, it was one of the few things I saw at AmCon. But it was one of the best things I've seen in AmCon since I've been going to AmCon in 2017, because it was one of the first times I've seen a message. It wasn't the only time, but it was one of the first times I've seen one of the only times I've seen a message that's actually on point to the youth and done in such a way that it empowers the youth to take it. It's theirs. We're done. Old people are done. The people in the middle didn't do shit with it. So now it's time for the young people to just take it and run with it, and they're gonna. Right? Some of them aren't going to take it. They already took it. The rest of them just need to be encouraged that it's theirs to be taken. So Paige is giving a message of that, but she's also doing it in such a way that the old people who are paying attention can see that it's not the way it was. Just because you're living the way it was doesn't mean that's the rest of the way the world's going. But anyway, Mike's saying Turning Point is Republican, very conservative for young people. Right on. I hope they're not too conservative that they're useless, but her message is definitely good. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Idiots always deserve pointing out. I don't see people are idiots, but I don't know what you were pointing out, what I was pointing out that you're talking about, but I don't necessarily say people are idiots. I don't think people realize that we're getting fed the same old buffet, and there's like way more food on different buffets out there. We don't have to be eating the same old mashed potatoes and corn. So remember I talked about Cody Firearms Experience being so much better than the other thing that's in Cody, except for the Dug Up Gun Museum, which is also awesome. So the Cody Firearms Museum, the Cody Firearms Experience, the museum is garbage. The Cody Firearms Experience is the gun shop, and it's awesome. They have a 1919 A4, but instead of just looking at it, why don't you go lay hands on it and shoot it? So instead of being like, hey, these guns are more than you're allowed to touch, and we're going to hold them all, and you can't even look at them, and we're so good that you can't look at them. They're like at the Firearms Experience, you can go over there and pull triggers on it, shoot the thing, and like the capitalists pay for it. So awesome. Some good things are happening. What do you want?
No. No, he's sleeping. No. No, he's sleeping.
That is my favorite meme. It's noise or audio ever. It took me a while before I figured out where it was from. I just thought it was some kid trying to pet a dog. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that one before, but have you ever seen where it came from? So anyway, Byron Rogers was posting that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be posting it, but I took that as an opportunity to post it. It's definitely my favorite meme audio that's out there. Sometimes they put it on good stuff, but I end up saying that to myself every time I see a dog most of the time. Let's see. So the next one is Connecticut. Nobody ever talks about Connecticut except for maybe Brooke and I can't think of her name. The president of the CCDL, and maybe a couple other people from Connecticut, but very rarely do we get much insight from Connecticut. But it says they've got oral arguments streaming on Tuesday, and this is for the Second Circuit Court. You know what? When I first read this, I thought it was for their thing that they were having. Holly Sullivan, thank you. I couldn't think of it. I thought this was for the thing that they were doing for Connecticut, but this looks like it's for something else. It says read the full update on the stream. Edit Tuesday the 14th, but whatever. So I guess this must be that some infringement from Connecticut was taken to the Second Circuit Court, and I'm not familiar with it, but I'm putting it out there. I didn't see it. I didn't see anybody streaming anything on Tuesday. I wasn't really available to watch it, even if it was, but I didn't see anything streaming on Tuesday. This is Woods. I don't know if he's out there, but that's what his couch looks like when his puppies take over. Toby is on with Sisters in Arms, so looking forward to that one. Of course, they got a lot of stuff going on in Massachusetts right now, and Toby's running for office in Massachusetts on top of all that. And then hopefully they just have some fun talking about regular stuff, but we'll see. That one will air next week. Allen Anchor, you ever heard of them? They're a patch manufacturer. They make the decals and the stickers. They can also do your tablecloths and stuff for your the different marketing you might need for your booth at an event or a show. But yeah, I thought these were cool. Moms Who Carry, and kind of a cool, simple logo. I thought that was pretty decent. We got Rebecca and Tony hanging out. Said going 4 years without seeing Tony is way too long. They were hanging out. I don't know where they were. I imagine Rebecca must have gone to New Jersey for something. Alan Anker, who I just mentioned, is doing a $5 patch sale. I don't know what they're trying to go out of business or something, but yeah, $5 patches. So check that out. And then they always have free shipping on orders over $35. So if you're looking for stocking stuffers or you just want to support Arizona business, AlanAnker.com. That's like the owl, like the bird, the word and then anchor, like anchor on a boat. The story is that there was an owl carrying a boat anchor, and then it dropped it, onto this place in California. And then the person that was standing there got the idea to make a patch factory. And then years later, the secretary of the patch factory saved the owner of the patch factory's life. And then the patch factory owner eventually retired and gifted the company to the young secretary, who then moved to Arizona. And now it's Alan Anker in Arizona. I'm pretty sure that's the story. There might be a couple of things loosely wrong there, but it's pretty much the story of their company. And that's why they call it Alan Anker. So this is another one of the gun shops. This one is outside of Oklahoma City, just south of Oklahoma City, if I remember correctly. And this is their employee of the month, little puppy. Look at that. Look how much belly there is on that puppy. I know people with girl dachshunds, and that is, I've scientifically done studies, and there's more belly to rub on a girl dachshund than there is on any other kind of dog. Well, okay, I haven't had the ability to test a girl basset hound. That might have a lot of belly also. And we're not counting fat ones. Fat ones artificially have a lot of belly. Then we get to Davenport Guns. We mentioned them earlier. And this is their kind of dog for the Marine Corps birthday. And then after. Woods would not like to see these because he doesn't believe in dogs wearing clothes. He doesn't like seeing dogs wearing clothes. Alan Anker doing those $5 patches again. Gotta support them because they're gonna go out of business with $5 patches. I don't know why I put this one in here twice, but I guess both Rebecca and Tony posted it, and I didn't realize I posted both of them. So that's everything I had this week. Where are we at with timing? Oh, I'm a half an hour early. So Rapid Fire Radio is coming up in about a half an hour. You've seen the Sisters in Arms is going to be interviewing Toby next week. Well, they already interviewed him. It'll be airing next week. So Rapid Fire Radio is the show that's on after this one. It's a podcast radio show that happens at the Cape Gunworks gun shop in Massachusetts. I think I've been watching it for over a year now. And I first found it with Riding Shotgun with Charlie, did an interview with Toby, and I started listening to the show. And I'm hooked. It's the best thing each week for Second Amendment. Being an owner of the gun shop and a lifetime gun owner, Toby's able to talk about guns, and people call in and ask all about guns and stuff all the time. Now that they're having some real challenges in Massachusetts with horrible anti-gun garbage that's kind of being thrust onto them, they've also added, a big portion of their shows has been that lately. And like I mentioned, Toby's also running for office, so he's doing all this on top of civic work. So much appreciation. It is a great show to listen to. And if you're looking to support somebody who's more than boots on the ground, like getting things done on like 6 different directions, consider buying something from the store. I'm sure that helps them. Consider listening to the show. Consider help sharing the show around. Any of the stuff that I mentioned here is worth sharing, except for the stuff I'm ragging on. Ignore that stuff if you want. But the stuff that's great is worth sharing. That's simple, free, and the robots that understand the internet. If this was Dune, the robots that run the internet would be those space angels. If this was, I don't know, like some other sci-fi thing, the logarithms are the things that are the rules that, like, the rules behind the matrix or whatever, the thing that makes it all work. So you can interact with that stuff. And it's as simple as sharing, liking, thumbing up. People say to do that, not because they got, well, some people have, but the reason you thumb up stuff, the reason you interact with the internet when you're watching stuff is because that changes its trajectory. It's going along, and then you thumb it up, and the next person thumbs it up, and the next person thumbs it up, and now the thing is skyrocketing. That's how it works. It doesn't quite work the opposite way with thumbs down, because there's still interactions, so a thumbs down actually still helps it. But interactions are what are the easiest way you can appreciate what people are doing out there. But we're capitalists. Hopefully you're a capitalist, or at least you understand capitalism, and you know that none of this stuff just happens, that I can't just take the time to do this every once in a while, and nobody else can either. Not to mention the technology behind it. I've got a little tiny camera here that I didn't spend much money on, and I got a crappy microphone that I'm talking into. I've got this dog that eats food all the time, though. So I don't have a bunch of fees, but other people do. Other people have families, and they've got obligations, and they've got bills. So, as capitalists, if you value that stuff, I'm going to recommend Patreon. We've got that scroll going at the bottom of the screen down here that says our Patreons make it possible for us to spend time on projects like this. I type that because that's the deal. I could be doing a million other things. Trust me, I got like 8 things I could be doing right now that make money, and I'm not bitching. I make good money right now, but I don't like it. I'd much rather be doing this full time. I just can't. I don't make hardly any money on Patreon. I don't make any money on Patreon. We pay a bunch of bills with Patreon, but I don't make any money, unfortunately. Back in the day, it was possible to make some money with with YouTube and everything else kind of trickling in, but the store and the Patreon and stuff right now make these things possible. But if you'd like to increase what we do, make it possible for us to grow again and do stuff, then consider distributing some of your resources, either with Patreon or the store or whatever, but I'm going to talk about Patreon. So take $20, go over to Patreon, and throw $5 at us or some other round money, but a buck, $15, whatever you want. But throw some of it at us, and we thank you for that. But then take the rest of that $20 and go look around Patreon. We support about 30 people over there. You could check that list out. That'll give you some place to start. But type in something you're interested in. I really like mushrooms. I think mushrooms are a way of the future. It's a different type of life than plants and animals. It's a fungus, which means it grows differently. It doesn't need light. It can work on decaying remains, so it doesn't need fresh new resources like critters do. It's not super gross like some of the things people have as alternative food sources. So I really think mushrooms are neat, and I think mushrooms have a lot of potential to take apart old garbage heaps and stuff. Old what am I trying to say? Not junkyards. Garbage dumps. There's so much junk going on in a garbage dump. Between a couple of algae and some bacterias and some fungus, you can just break down a lot of the garbage in there and come out with useful elements. Their waste is a lot of times useful. So I really think there's a lot of potential there. And instead of constantly worrying about electricity and mechanics, I really like the development of mushroom technology and growth in that region. People making at-home mushroom food projects, mushroom composting projects. There's lots of things that are developing. So if you type in mushroom into Patreon, you'll find people, with little businesses. Maybe they're impregnating a bunch of sticks or sawdust or something, and then people buy a bag of that and put it in their basement, and then they've got food. Or they take a bag of that and they put it into their garden, and now they've got beneficial decomposing stuff. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. There's lots of things you can support. Maybe you're into motorcycles, maybe you're into music. DJs out there posting a bunch of links. Maybe you're just into tech. Like, there's all kinds of people over on Patreon. So what I'm suggesting is take $20, go over to Patreon, throw some of it at us, take the rest of it and sprinkle it around. Throw your financial resources as a capitalist at a couple of different projects, things that you might value, and then do that for 5 months. That's going to cost you $100. Yes, it will cost you $100. At the end of that, I'll definitely thank you, and I'll challenge you. If you're not completely satisfied, you can yell at me that it was a waste of $100. But I suggest, I've been doing this for a while, nobody's ever come back and yelled at me. I suggest what you might find is that it's fun to be a venture capitalist for things that you value. I certainly appreciate it. I give, a buck here, a buck there. When I go to the crowdfunding platforms, I'll support projects that are, like I say, mushroom things or small gardening. We have a lot of places where we could have gardens and growth, and instead we have neglect and people that don't value the waste, right? The wasted land. Well, if that was people's gardens and people were creating value from food and value from resource, being able to sell the stuff out of that gardens, it'd be a different story. And that's everywhere, like people's backyards, people's parks, people's cities, people's rural areas. There's lots of places where I think community gardens could do a lot of benefit. But again, if you value that kind of stuff and you support it and you see that stuff succeed, even when it fails, it's unfortunate, but usually that's going to inspire somebody else to do it a little bit differently or do it a little bit at a different scale or, somehow angle it a little bit different, do it somewhere else. And again, you can be part of that. So I just wanted to mention thanks to the people that make it possible for us to do what we're doing. About 20 minutes from now, rapid fire will start. Unless anybody's got any specific questions, there's a bunch of people out there. I hate to just end it, but we ran out of pictures on Instagram to look at. We could go look at our pictures on Instagram, or we could go look at the feed, but we're out of stuff that I saved. Some weeks I look at a lot of stuff, and some weeks I don't. Looks like Foss, who may or may not be out there, says he bought his first buck knife in a while. What model could it be? Well, somebody's going to get in trouble, so I thought he was not supposed to be buying knives. Let's see. So if I scroll down, I'll see my page here and we'll look at some of our stuff. So I had a conversation with Jeff the other night on Liberty's Echo. Next week, it'll be Alex Woolley. We had Tony on for Ask Gun Questions this last Saturday. We had every Friday, we do this same show, except with focusing on YouTube. It was the Marine's birthday. Let's see, that was the Instagram show last week. Anything else good over here? I haven't really posted anything. These were some, these are RAM actually. This is what RAM looks like. This is physical RAM. This is RAM back in the old days. So if you ever want to visualize what's happening inside of a piece of RAM, you've got these little pieces of wire that are in an insulator. And I posted these pictures because the insulator in Russia during the 70s was Bakelite, same stuff they made the bayonets and the AK-47s out of. That was their plastic. So it's Bakelite with tiny little copper wires, and a little tiny copper wire will go in to these little tiny magnetic Cheerios. There's these little magnetic Cheerios, and this is the stamps I got when it came delivered. There's me showing it off with a bayonet, and eventually it'll show that's what it looks like. You'll have sheets and sheets of these things stacked up. Each one of these is a bit. So you've got these little magnetic Cheerios, and you can see the wires come into the Cheerio, and then they make usually a right angle and come out of the Cheerio, and they bypass all the other Cheerios. So each of these wires is going to a specific Cheerio made out of magnets, and there's a wire coming from one direction and a second direction, and then a third direction and a fourth direction. So essentially, one of the pair of wires is listening to which magnetic orientation the Cheerio is in, either left or right magnetic orientation, right? Magnetic lines are going around the Cheerio left or around the Cheerio right. So one of the wires is listening or sniffing which orientation the magnetism is, and the other one is telling it which magnetism it's going to be. You're either left or you're right. And with that in and out mechanism, with that telling and listening, you can create logic and you can create code and you can create everything. So essentially that's what computer RAM was back in the time of when we're sending stuff up to the moon. This is what the RAM looked like. And it was very difficult to break because it was, unless you went in there and smashed it, it wasn't going to fail. So it's pretty interesting stuff. These are the things, they aren't huge. I mean, they're big. That's 6 inches by 6 inches, and it's an inch thick maybe. And that's just one bit. And then there'd be, 64 of these in a stack. So it'd be about the size of a suitcase. And that might be like today's RAM chip. So they were big, but they weren't super big. Before this, they were transformers and tubes and vacuum tubes and that kind of thing. And that's when they were the size of a room and shit. So this is when we didn't quite go solid state. This is still copper wire going through magnetic Cheerios. And there's a shit ton of magnetic Cheerios. This is, what is it? 6, I don't know what the numbers are anymore. But this is essentially, in Russian's probably different. But this is essentially 1 byte of however many bits. Or else this is a bit and all of these, I think this is 1 byte. And it would be, each of those little Cheerios is a bit. And altogether they're 1 byte. Something like that. But essentially this is the physical evolution of RAMs back in the day. You could find these things on Amazon for, I don't know, $10 or something. Back whenever I bought this thing a couple years ago. I don't know how much they are now. Otherwise, it's a bunch of announcements. I haven't had much time to do stuff on Instagram, so I guess there's nothing interesting to look at on Instagram. But there's a mushroom picture right there. All right, with that, we're ending it. Recommend you go check out Cape Gunworks and Rapid Fire Radio after this. And hope everybody has the rest of a good day. I think I'm going to move the game show / trivia games or whatever till Thursdays, because I already do this show on Wednesday. Otherwise, I got to do 2 shows on Wednesday. And I alluded to earlier, I've got a couple of things I can do that make money, and I got to go make money. So I'm going to go do that. Then tomorrow we'll do either the game or a flashback or both. Give me some feedback. But I do have like 3 more trivia games to try. This president one. Oh, hold on. We got this president one now. Come on. Look how slow my computer is. I've ordered my computer to change monitors and it took that much time. President one, which may or may not be interesting. What year is this from? It doesn't say. It doesn't say how many presidents to give us a clue. So this is some kind of president's deck. How about this one? Television 2 trivia game from 1986. Some of y'all weren't even born then. Does that say? I think it says 1986. No, 1985. Television trivia game from 1985. For example, oh man, name Gabe Carter's wife in Welcome Back Cotter. Name Gabe Cotter's wife on Welcome Back Cotter. Who portrayed Stacey whoever on the Dick Van Dyke Show? What was the setting for Family? Yikes, I barely remember even that show. What school was featured on Mr. Novak? I don't know what that is. What was Tom Hulvack's occupation on the Family Hulvack? Are these even words? Like, I don't even know what this is. What was the last name of the brothers on Here Comes the Brides? Is this country? What the hell? What name the school for young women featured on The Facts of Life? Oh, something Academy probably. What eventually was the profession of David Nelson on The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet? Oh, I got the answers right here. I'm showing you the answers. Oh no, those are the answers for the other side. So that's pretty cool. So you don't even see the answers for this side accidentally. So I don't know who'd be down. You have to be old to be down for one of these Q&As. Yeah, I don't remember any of these. Pernell Roberts played Adam on what TV Western? I don't know. I don't even know who that is. Name the actor who plays the role of Colt on The Fall Guy. I've seen The Fall Guy. I remember there's a guy on it probably. The slowest ketchup in the West, Northeast, and South is made by which company? Oscar Mayer has a way with what type of meat? What bubble gum is the ultimate bubble with the ultimate flavor? Well, okay, that one's easy. John Cameron Swayze is the spokesman for what brand of watches? What? Who plays Mike Hammer on the crime drama? See? That's what I'm saying. These are tough. These we'll be able to use as like tiebreakers or something, maybe. I figured these would be tough, but that artwork on the box made me grab this set. Television 2. Looks like it's ancient. And then I have a couple other new ones. So I'm interested in trying to have a trivia game going, but like I say, we got to figure out when to do it. But what we're trying to do is have people on screen playing for people in the audience. That's the best way to do it. All right, well, as you can see, nobody's going to pet this dog's belly for him. He's going to have some time to have his belly rubbed here. And it's time between he wakes up from his night's sleep, eats breakfast, goes potty, has his nap. Pretty soon he has to wake up from his nap, have another quick snack, go potty, so that he can get to his next nap. Otherwise, he's going to be way off his schedule. He won't be able to get his meal and his other nap in before he has to go to bed tonight. So I'm on a big schedule. Got a tight schedule here of getting this dog his food and his poops in between his naps. Okay, well, we can see how old we are. Yeah, exactly. I have some 80s music, which might be easier than 80s TV, because I don't know, even though it doesn't seem like there was that much TV, I've never even heard of some of those shows for sure. So there's probably a lot of TV that we all didn't see. I think I'll throw a commercial up here for the store. I'll thank everybody again, and we'll be back sometime tomorrow. Let's see, Chris doesn't do a show. He won't have a show. We have Rapid Fire today. After this, what am I missing? What else is on Wednesday? I feel like I'm missing something else. I'm probably missing something else. So go check your listings for times near you. Whatever we used to say.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
You're going to have a chance to win these claws in a future episode of the Tactical Quiz, by the way. Bonus points if you know what these claws are for. Except for DJ, who I think already knows what they're for. I'm going to have a break. We'll just claw this puppy up a little bit. These buttons. Shredding puppies.